And as I say, my purpose is not to fill your mind with lots of stuff, really. It's to give you a few practices so that you can be inspired in your daily life, because it's about bringing this teaching not only when you're sitting on the mat in your morning practice or something, but in every situation. And therefore I want to bring in a few what I call neo-dharanas. It means ones that I have also created, and they're pretty obvious in daily life, where instead of going through daily life in automatic mode, we actually start to move into a situation where we're appreciative. We appreciate life as it is, with its ups and downs, of course, but we allow life in the way that it presents itself to remind us of this mystery that lies at the very heart of what we are. And as I've said in the previous courses, the first 23 verses, it's about the kind of questions that, 1,000 years ago or something, which could be asked by a person who's looking deeper into things. And it's the same kind of questions, I guess, that we could ask in a daily, why are we here? What am I? Who am I? And all this kind of stuff. So that's the kind of first 23 verses where the practitioner, the seeker of truth, in this context, Bhairavi, airs her, and her means he and she, he and her means all of us, airs her disquiet, the fact that she's studied all these things and she's still not really got it. And that's could be, same with us also. We can study and study and we go around in circles, and it's all an important part of life, information, but it doesn't really quite click. So then Bhairava, the teacher in this case, gives the 112 dharanas, the practices, to help the practitioner, Bhairavi, to realize within herself, within ourself, something which we can't actually put our fingers on with words. We're all addicted to words. I love words, and I like the nuance of words. I really do. I appreciate this, but I know, and probably you also know, just how limited words are. So then come the 112 dharanas. And then actually, I haven't mentioned this in previous courses, but then there's the last 25 verses. And this is from verse 138 to 163, 25 verses there. And they're very, very nice also, actually. It's kind of a good luck set of verses, the last ones. In there are a few gems, I think, of practice, actually. There's a few practices that have crept in there by the back door, but it's kind of just to wind things up. So we'll also have a look at some of those verses. And then, of course, the whole text finishes at 163. But then that's the beginning, actually, because then it's in our hands to continue the inspiration, continue the practice, using what has been instigated or indicated in the text, but taking it further, bringing it into our daily life. And it's very easy. We're also creatures of habit, and it's very easy for us to just toodle along half aware, actually. We go into a habit and we do this. We drive around automatically. We talk almost automatically. And of course, these practices are trying to stop that automatic, unconscious way of behaving, so that each moment can remind us of just how extraordinary this fact of life is. We don't appreciate it. I certainly don't enough. More and more I'm trying. You know, it is an absolute and utter mystery. So, and as you know, the teachings bring in really earthy stuff, which we can easily identify with breathing, breath awareness, and so forth. But it also brings in philosophical stuff, but not philosophy just to fill our minds with concepts, but philosophy or ideas which are there to prompt us to reflect. And even though the reflection is a mental process, it can, if we're sufficiently sensitive and open, this reflection can open up the doors of, well, as in the title of this course, the open up the doors of consciousness. Remember, consciousness, we cannot define it actually. For me, it is ever present. We wouldn't be able to be here now, aware, if there wasn't this quality of consciousness. I think today we're going to start off with some reflective dharana. And we haven't done this one before, but it's a very, I like it very much actually. And it's number 72. Maya, or cosmic illusion, deludes us by means of the 5 kanchukas. Consider and reflect on these functions. In this way, you will lose your sense of separation. So, Maya, of course, is a commonly used concept in yoga and Tantra, Advaita. And it means the fact that we are not able to see things as they are. And we assume that what we see is what is. But even science, we know very well that science now is also telling us that actually things are not the way that we think they are, or even the way that we perceive them to be through our senses. So Maya is the term that they have used in yoga and Tantra to give a pointer to the fact that things are not the way that they seem to be. So Maya, and in this particular dharana, number 72, they use the concept of the kanchuka. Kanchuka actually means it's a mode that Maya, this process of Maya, these kanchukas are one, kala, and this is division, a process within Maya which gives us this sense of division. I am here, you are there. It's pretty obvious, it's a fact, but we're talking about more fundamental levels. It's this process that makes us feel a sense of separation. And of course, it has to be like that. If we didn't have a sense of separation, then life wouldn't be as it is. And the second one is called vidya. And vidya means knowledge, but here it means the limited knowledge that is due and bound by the limitations of our mental conditioning. So this is vidya. Raga here means, again, it has many meanings. Raga means, it means anger also, but here it means attachment and desire. Those things which make us attach to friends and family and so forth, attached to our belongings, and desires which drive us through life. The fourth one is called kala, and this is time. The fact that we are creatures of time. We're born, we live, we die. It's all in process of time. So that's another thing. And we assume time is, what's the word? It's reality. But of course, again, science is telling us that time is limited, actually. Time is a projection. So time is how Maya puts us in time. We have a sense of time, and this helps to define our personality. And the fifth one, last but not least, is called niati. And this has got two meanings. Niati means space. And again, space, science again tells us that space is it's not the absolute reality, actually. We take it to be real, but it's a limited process. If you believe in the Big Bang, after all, space didn't exist. So what did all this universe explode into? And that's a mystery. I don't particularly believe in the Big Bang, but if you believe in the Big Bang, and if it's the main scientific paradigm, then space was created as the universe expanded. It wasn't there, apparently. And niyati also means karma, the very fact that we are bound by karma, cause and effect. We do certain things, it has consequences, repercussions, effects, benefits, and so forth. We're going to sit for a few minutes, and we're going to reflect on these 5 kanchukas. Sit quietly, comfortable position, eyes closed. And remember, these are kind of concepts, but they give us a sense of the fact that life is far more extraordinary than we think. So, being in touch with your body, your physical body, feeling the solidity of the body, and imagine your body is an empty vessel. And bring your attention to the virtual space within. And imagine perhaps that you have been doing some hatha yoga in the mornings, perhaps. So you're very open, or some chanting. And in this receptive space, you reflect on these 5 kanchukas. Kala, the fact that there is a division for you to exist as an embodied being. There is a sense of separation and division. Like the spark of a fire. Each one of us, as an embodied personality, has been broken off or divided from the totality. this totality, whatever it is, encompasses all separate humans, creatures, atoms. The totality, so to say, divides or splits off to create individuality. And the incredible thing about the human being is that we have this capacity of reflecting on this separation or division. It's just an openness. We don't need to think too much, but just an openness to the fact that as individuals, we have this sense of separation from the totality. And then we come to vidya, knowledge, individual knowledge, and an appreciation that, yes, I've had an education, I've studied this, I've learned this, all kinds of skills we may have, but extraordinary though they may be, these are limited actually in terms of the total knowledge. And again, our capacity to know, to have skills, is a reflection of the totality of potential. As individuals, actually, we can hone ourselves, we can tap into the unthinkable, the totality of potential in the cosmic mind. And then we come to raga, desire, attachment. And we know, of course, that yes, I am attached to my loved ones, my family, friends. I'm attached to my possessions. I have desires and aspirations. But knowing that this attachment and desire, that these are necessary functions if there is to be life, the kaleidoscope of life. without these attachments, whatever they may be, or desires, then we would not be able to live our life. Kala, time, knowing that as individuals we are subject to time. Just as everything in the universe is subject to time. And of course, in the modern world, we are driven very much by time. But knowing also that this time comes out of the timeless. And again, I remind you that this is very much the understanding of science, modern science. We are bound by time, no question. But being open to that quality, reality, which is timeless. We can't conceptualize, of course, the timeless. But we can be open, ideally with a non-thinking mind, to that which is timeless. And then the last but not least, which is niyati, space or causality. So space, another mystery is the fact that we would not be able to live if we were not living in space. And of course, this is physical space, but we can extend it even to mental space, inner space. and the fact of causality or karma, where we are driven to live our lives, but knowing that the very essence of what we are is beyond causality, so it need not be quite as long. You can do this, of course, in your formal practice, but in the daytime, it's also useful. Or maybe when you wake up in the morning, you wake up before you move, listen to the birds, outer sounds, and before you move from your bed, just very quickly reflect. I am, as an individual, separate, kala. I feel the separation from the totality. The knowledge that I have access to. We are dipping, so to say, into the infinite potential. Space, as I lie here in bed, I have this sense of space, but this leads out to a wider dimension of space. What is it that underlies what I think I am? Now you can start to move your body. Externalize. So that's more of a reflective practice, Dharana 72. But it's something we can do in daily life. We just stop for 2 seconds or even 10 seconds every few hours when it comes to our mind. We just stop and we actually reflect on a couple of seconds on these kanchukas. What is this space that I am in? What is the time that I am in? What is it that drives my attachments and desires? Right, so those who have been on the previous courses will know the importance of the Dwadashanta, the field of energy or spaciousness, which is 12 finger widths, arbitrarily taken as 12 finger widths from the surface, from the skin of your physical body. Dwadash means 12, anta means extent, so it means the extent of this arbitrarily chosen energy field, which you may be able to feel, but you can conceptualize it otherwise, which is absolutely perfect. Dwadasanta. These are used, this concept of Dwadasanta is used so much in the practices, in many of, not all of them, but many of the practices, the dharanas. So it's trying to establish an existential contact with this space. I mean, if you're sensitive, you will be able to feel this energy field. The pranamaya kosha, to use the technical language of yoga, etheric body. So by establishing more contact with this, again, periodically, we stop, take note of this Dwadasanta, this field, this spaciousness, our perspective in what we are doing. And you can't do it all the time. If you're living in a cave, you probably can, and I'm sure in the past yogis did this. But in daily life, we can't do it all the time. But periodically, it just brings in another perspective. So those who've done the previous courses will know this practice very well, and I have explained it also. But we're going to practice again because there's no harm in repetition for those who've done the previous courses. And if you remember, a way of locating this, helping us to locate this energy field or this sense of spaciousness, for me, it's the same thing. I can feel it now. I'm sitting here and I have this sense of spaciousness and energy actually around my physical body sitting here. It's very easy. If you practice in the morning Hatha Yoga, which probably you do, you have that kind of, there's a movement towards this spaciousness, and all of you know it. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here, I'm sure. Where when you start your practice, mind is thinking too much, and you're very much probably lost in feelings and thoughts. But as you do your practice, whatever it may be, there is a kind of a movement towards more spaciousness. Difficult to explain, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. And this is an openness. So it's an openness to this very moment. So the way to do this, I guess those who know can get on with it. You can practice. It's called Bhuchari Mudra. It's a way of putting your hands in front of your nose like this, and either moving your thumb a little bit so it pushes your hands out, or pushing your little finger out, and that gives the distance of 12 finger widths from your nose and from all other parts of your skin. Bhuchari Mudra. Bhu means earth, and Chari means moving, the earth moving pose. It means that it doesn't move the earth, of course. It means it helps to change our perspective on reality. It moves our assumptions. And it's such a simple practice, but it's a great practice. So give it a whirl. Put your hands in front of your nose. And I prefer just to push on the thumb near the nose to give that extra distance. It doesn't matter actually whether it's 10 or 12 or even a bit further, but we'll respect the teachings of the Vijnana Bhairava, which says 12, Dwadasanta, the extent of 12. And raise your little finger and you gaze at the fingertip. And then when you're ready, you lower your hands, but keeping your eyes where your little finger was, little fingertip. And if you're doing it correctly, you will see double. Any object in front of you will appear to be double. Because you are focusing on this point, this virtual point where your little fingertip was. And then if your eyes start to focus, as they do, on something in front of you, raise your hands and repeat the same practice. Focusing on the little finger tip. Focus in your eyes. And then after some time, lower your hand, lower your hands, but keep your focus where your little fingertip was. And try to feel this is a cocoon. Try to imagine that this is like a cocoon of energy at that distance, 12 finger widths from your physical body. And, if your mind starts to get active, if you start thinking too much, or you start thinking what's for lunch or whatever, raise your hands and repeat the same practice. The aim is to create actually a situation where your thinking processes slow down. Though we are addicted to thought, actually we are thinking creatures. Thinking actually separates us from a wider reality. So in this way, we are trying to calm the mind so that thinking is less, and by becoming less, so we are more perceptive. Lower your hands. And if you see the double in front of you, that means you've got it right. And you can continue this practice, but keep your hands down now, but just feeling this cocoon of energy or spaciousness around the physical body. And as we will see, you can practice this in daily life. You don't need to raise your hands. As you get the knack of it, you will be able to identify and feel and locate this Dwara Shanta just automatically. It's a way of optimizing on our life. We have many things to do, of course, we're all busy, but it helps us to, allows life actually, our life, to be part of our spiritual practice. And now you can close your eyes, but still trying to feel this Dvarasanta, the spaciousness, this energy field around your physical body, even with your eyes closed. And these teachings don't ask us to be gullible, to believe anything, but they ask us to practice so that what is there reveals itself. And actually, this is very beautifully put in verse 138. It's the first verse after all the dharmas. Bhairava says, "O beloved, when the four constituents of the personality, these are the individual mind, which we identify, our sense of ego, number 2, vital energy, and awareness also, the individual awareness. When these dissolve, one identifies automatically without even any effort with consciousness." I mean, that summarizes yoga and meditation, actually summarizes yoga, tantra, dvaita, all these paths. I repeat, "O beloved, when the four constituents of the personality dissolve, one automatically identifies with consciousness." And it's that which gives us this sense of plenitude, this sense of fullness, this sense of harmony. So the four constituents of the personality, the mind, individual mind, it's very general. You may be able to elaborate on this, but this is the text. Individual mind, the ego, that which makes us identify, vital energy, the energy coursing through our system, and individual awareness. when these are dissolved, automatically, there's no effort whatsoever. There is an identification. We can't put our fingers on it, but there is an identification with consciousness. So we can see the sense of it. It's not trying to change us into zombies. It's opening up the portals of consciousness. It's opening up so that we're not completely lost in thoughts, feelings, emotions. So, comfortable position and eyes closed, and we continue with this focusing on the Dwadasanta, this virtual space or energy field around the body, which some of you may feel as energy. Others will have to conceptualize it, but that's absolutely perfect. It's the focusing of attention that is more important, actually, than the fact. And this practice helps to diminish the constant chatter of the mind. So, with your eyes closed, focus on the Dwadasanta. And we will now practice, keeping in mind, of course, the Dwadasanta, keeping your eyes closed, and I will read out the text for Dharana 16, practice number 16. And many of you have practiced this already. It's a beautiful and very simple practice. And then we will follow it with Dharana number 17, which is similar but different. And this is using a mantra in both cases. And the text is, O Bhairavi, O practitioner, you chant the mantra Om or any other sacred mantra. Contemplate on the stillness and the spaciousness at the end. Through this stillness, merge with plenitude. Don't worry about the text. I will be sending it out to you if you haven't got it already, actually. So eyes are closed and you are focused or in touch with the Dwadasanta. Feeling this space within the Dwadasanta, which includes your physical body. And we'll use Om. I mean, you can use other mantras, but let's stick with Om. And the emphasis in this practice is not actually on the Om. Of course, we can feel the vibration within our body, but within the Dwadasanta, this space. But the main emphasis is on the stillness at the end when the mantra repetition has terminated. So being in touch with the Dwadasanta and the space within, which includes your physical body. Breathe in deeply. And of course, you can do it aloud if you can. If you can't do it aloud, then do it whispering. Breathe in deeply. And feeling as you breathe out the vibration resonating in this Dwadasanta space. Breathing normally, but your full attention is on the stillness at the end of the chanting, the stillness within this Dwadasanta. And then breathe in again. Breathing out, feeling the vibration of Om. Awareness of the stillness within the Dwadasanta. Remember, you breathe normally after the exhalation, after the chanting of the mantra, but your focus is on the stillness. Next round, breathe in. Feeling the stillness. Breathing again and do two more rounds by yourself. And it's not always possible to practice with chanting the Om or mantra aloud. So dharana number 17, the next one, addresses this. Again, I will send you the text. Without actually uttering the mantra aloud, contemplate the stillness of the mantra before, during, and after its subtle vibration. In this way, identify with underlying stillness. So this is breaks all the rules of mantra. We actually don't chant the mantra, but we feel as though we are chanting the mantra. And this is a practice you can do pretty much in most situations, at least, as a way of calming the mind and being open to the gifts of the present moment. So again, bring your attention to the Dwadasanta, feeling the spaciousness within this Dwadasanta. And then breathe in, still feeling the stillness, underlying stillness. And then breathing out, imagine that you are chanting Om. And at the end of the virtual exhalation with soundless Om, just keep your attention on the stillness within the Dwadasanta, breathing normally, but without any attention on the breath. Attention on the stillness within the Dwadasanta. And then breathe in again, keeping your attention on the breath, of course, but also on the stillness. And then breathing out with the soundless Om. Imagining that you are chanting Om. And then at the end of exhalation, keep your attention on the underlying stillness within the Dwadasanta. And again, stillness as you breathe in. Breathing out and imagining that you are chanting Om, feeling the underlying stillness. And then breathing normally. Focusing, feeling the stillness. And practice yourself 2 more rounds. And so you can practice this use of Om, whether you chant aloud or you chant it virtually in imagination. And it is a useful way of not only calming the mind, but also opening up to this mystery which underlies our embodied existence. If you're feeling quite comfortable, then remain in this sitting position. Otherwise, you can gently adjust your body to remove any stiffness. But all the time, trying to focus, to be aware of the stillness within the Dwadasanta. And now we'll go for an imaginary walk, and we will then finish the walk with the Dharana 26, which I will give you shortly. Eyes closed. Imagine that you are walking in a park or a garden. You feel no pressure. You have time, whether it's 10 minutes or 5 minutes or even longer. And so you feel you can quite comfortably, as you walk, be in touch with the space within the Dvarasanta. You're walking, maybe barefoot, that would be really nice, feeling the caress of the grass on your feet. And as you slowly walk, your focus is both externally and internally, actually. You are feeling the contact of the ground, whether barefoot or with shoes. And at the same time, you are in touch with the stillness within the Dvarasanta. And as you walk in your imagination, you hear the external sounds, the birds, etc. But keeping your attention internalized, your eyes, of course, will be open, not now, but when you're walking in the park or garden. Your attention is internalized on the stillness within the Dvarasanta. And at the moment, your eyes are closed, of course, but you can imagine as you walk with this attention in the Dvarasanta, you can see flowers, plants, trees. All the wonders of nature. And soon your time is up and you will have to get on with your daily duties. But now you are looking, as you walk, for a flower or something in nature which you can offer as a symbol of your appreciation for the miracle of existence. So you walk around and you choose something in your mind. And keeping your eyes closed, we move then on to Dharana practice 26. O Blessed One, close your eyes, they're already closed, and fix your attention in the heart space. Therein visualize the heart lotus. Here we can say a flower or something from nature. Gazing at this lotus flower, whatever it may be, chant the Anhat mantra. So choose your favorite flower, object, can be a stone or even a jewel actually, or a crystal. Something that really touches you profoundly as being a symbol of the miracle actually of nature, of existence. And in your heart space, give that as an offering. In appreciation of this inexplicable mystery of existence. And as you offer this in your heart space, mentally chant your favorite mantra. If you have a personal mantra, you can chant it. Or if you have nothing in particular, then no particular mantra, then chant Om. Feeling the mantra resonating in your heart space. Appreciation of this, of everything actually, is so important for there to be a deepening and insight. We may not understand the universe. How can we? Our mind is so small, actually. But our appreciation opens us up to the possibility of insight, where the mind stops and there is a flashing forth of realization. Which may express through the mind, through our mind, but in fact does not originate in our mind. So now you can, in your own time, slowly move your body. You can carry on if you wish, but I think probably now it's time to see if there's any questions or any feedback.
I'll just ask a question.
Yeah.
Do you do chakra meditation as well, and how does that integrate with this practice? Chakra brings your meditation in internally. Can you focus on this space around you if you do chakra meditation? Oh.
Yeah, some of the dharanas, they use the chakras actually. They focus on practices concerning the chakras. For example, let me have a look. Number. Yeah, number 6, dharana number 6. Meditate on the lightning-like energy moving upwards successively from chakra to chakra. It doesn't give details, right? It's for us to fill in the details. But the chakras are very much an integral part of the teachings of the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra.
How does that fit in with this meditation, the dui, whatever, the space around you? I mean, chakras in internal, and the space is external.
They're not really external, from the perspective of the physical body. Of course, they are external. The Dwadasanta is around. But if we look deeper, where we're not fully identified with the physical body, which is, the yardstick for perspective, then we find that the inner space and the outer space are actually not different. So the chakras obviously relate to the energy patterns within our personality, all the different levels. And of course, the Sahasrara chakra, that relates to something which is beyond our personality, the very fundamental basis of our embodied existence. So the chakras, there's different paradigms in yoga, tantra, and so forth, and Advaita. There's different paradigms which try to explain how we function and even what we are as human beings. And one of them is the chakras. Excuse me. I'm actually very fond of this paradigm, the chakra paradigm, because it shows the different levels of our personality, from the physical through the emotional, through into the feeling, into the communicative, into the thinking, intuitive levels. So it's very, very profound. And if we go deeper into the chakras through practices like this, actually, or through more specific practices which we can find in Kriya Yoga and Kundalini Yoga, then it awakens us to potential which is innate within each of us, actually, and things that have to be worked through. Our personalities are different, and there's different reflections of our personality and things we have to work through, or we have to realize or fulfill and the chakras give us an indication of how we can fulfill our lives. Because for me, spirituality is not rejecting our life, it's fulfilling our life. There is a tendency in some circles, not too many, I must say, but where they think that spirituality is a rejection of life, of our...
No, that's not it, yeah.
No, it's not that at all. It's a fulfillment of our life.
Yeah.
And the way to fulfill our lives is to bring about a conscious expression and understanding of the different energies which are symbolized by the chakras. And the way to do this is that we become more open. And I always say this, not gullible or credulous, but more open to those things that we don't currently know about, in particular in our own being. But the more we explore our own being, the more we understand things in a wider sense also. Because there's another paradigm, I'm getting off the point here, but there's no point, no harm. There's another paradigm which I particularly like, and that is the holographic paradigm of the universe. And certain scientists are now promulgating this as a model for explaining not only the brain, but the whole universe, that everything is interconnected.
Yeah.
So, yeah, coming back to your point, the teachings of the Vijnana Bhairava, it is very much concerned directly or indirectly with the chakras.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Any other points?
Yeah, hi, nice to see you.
How are you doing?
Really, really well. And just the first practice, very intellectual in terms of the.
I'm losing your voice.
Yeah, the first practice was
the Kanchukas, on the Kanchukas.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I think I'm going to have to break the tradition and actually do some study to understand it, as opposed to just expecting to understand this immediately, because it seemed quite it was quite complicated, some of the concepts. So the idea, but I did like the imagery of being a spark outside the fire. That was good. I like that. And also this idea of, and also I think linking with what you just said about not rejecting everyday life. In other words, I don't think you said possessions or being possession, but yeah, I think possessions really, because it's family and it's people, and you can't reject that. That's got to be part of you. But I think, am I right? So coming around to my question, I probably don't really have, but I just wanted to say hi.
I'm losing your voice again. Yeah.
The question really is that kind of, what's it getting at, really? What's that bit getting at? Because it seems to be, is it just understanding your place in the universe? And all the
I think it's trying to bring about more humility, actually, you know. In a sense, this is the paradox. In a sense, each of us is the center of the universe.
Yes.
It doesn't mean we should be self-centered. We are self-centered anyway, but it's trying to encourage us. It's a bit intellectual. As I was giving the meditation on that, the Kanchukas, Dharana number 72, I was thinking it is a bit complicated. No harm at all, no. In the context of the Vijnana Bhairava, you have to remember a lot of those, the usage of those words, those Sanskrit words, they would have been fully understood, at least intellectually, by the people who were using the techniques with the teacher. But it's to try and, it's not trying to diminish ourselves, because each of us is extraordinary, actually. Each of us is absolutely extraordinary, but it's trying to open up to a wider context. I think possibly the best way is what we've been doing just now, where we're trying to be in touch with spaciousness. This is more kind of existential, you know, and it's hands-on. But there is a place in the Vijnana Bhairava Tantra for reflection on certain ideas as a way of realizing that we're part of an inexplicable whole, actually, you know, with the sparks of the fire and all the rest of it, without diminishing, you know, thinking, look how small I am. We are small, but at the same time, we are in touch with the totality. This is what the teachings of the Vijnana Bhairava try to show us. So they're a bit what's the word? Can't think of the right word at the moment. They're a bit conceptual. But I like them in a sense because it brings me back into the fact that, you know, we live in space. Do we really appreciate the mystery of space? I don't think we do, but there is a mystery there, especially since in the modern world, science is starting to question the absolute concrete reality of space. You know, so this thinking, 1,000 years old thinking in the Vijnana Bhairava, it's kind of, it's buying in to scientific thinking in the modern world, which I find really interesting. And each of us knows, you know, each of us knows that we're limited. The vidya, the understanding, the knowing. Each of us knows that we are limited in our understanding, our intellectual understanding. But do we really know it? I'm not sure. There's always the assumption that, you know, what I know is a lot. And we do know a lot, no question. But still, it's just a little spark, to use the word that you just brought up, a little spark of the totality. So it's a way of bringing a bit more humility, I think. And I think on the yogic path, on any spiritual path, actually, humility, and I mean real humility, not kind of false humility, real humility, it has to be there, because we realize as individuals how limited we are as a personality, but that we can at the same time open up to the wider possibilities which transcend our personality. It's always a paradox. For me, spirituality is best described by paradoxes, because paradoxes indicate that we actually can't put things in a pigeonhole.